Right now, the global energy system is being pushed to the brink. The Strait of Hormuz, through which nearly 20% of the world's oil flows, has seen traffic slow to a near standstill as tensions between Iran, the United States, and Israel sharply escalate. Now, another choke point begins to draw global concern: the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait near Yemen, where Iran-aligned groups have demonstrated the ability to disrupt this most vital trade corridor linking directly to the Suez Canal. For the first time in modern history, the world faces the risk of losing two critical maritime arteries at once. In response, countries are now accelerating efforts to find alternative routes, some already in operation, others far more ambitious. The Strait of Hormuz, located between Iran and Oman, has long been one of the world's most critical vulnerabilities. At just 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, it carries a massive share of global energy flows. In March 2026, that vulnerability became reality as rising tensions turned this vital corridor into a high-risk zone, disrupting one of the most important energy routes on Earth. Maritime movement tightened, access became uncertain, and commercial vessels began rerouting or delaying journeys. Within days, tanker traffic dropped sharply, signaling widespread disruption across global shipping. At the same time, developments extended beyond the strait, affecting key energy infrastructure across the wider Gulf region and amplifying pressure on an already fragile system. The repercussions were immediate. Oil prices surged past $100 per barrel, while LNG exports, especially from Qatar, faced delays. Shipping routes shifted around Africa, adding up to 2 weeks in transit time and significantly increasing costs. Insurance premiums also spiked, reflecting heightened risk. This is no longer a potential threat. The global energy system is already under strain at its most critical choke point. Before we continue, don't forget to click on that subscribe button and like this video, as it's the best way to support this channel. While global attention remains focused on the Strait of Hormuz, another choke point is becoming increasingly significant. The Bab-el-Mandeb Strait, located between Yemen and Djibouti and Eritrea in the Horn of Africa, is a narrow passage just 30 kilometers wide at its tightest point, connecting the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean and serving as a vital link in global trade between Europe and Asia. It forms the southern gateway to the Suez Canal, making it essential not only for energy shipments, but for global commerce more broadly. In recent years, the region has become more complex due to the presence of Iran-aligned groups in Yemen. These groups have demonstrated the capability to disrupt maritime traffic using advanced technologies, including aerial and sea-based systems. Previous incidents in the area have already led to heightened caution among shipping companies and increased security measures along key routes. As of March 2026, activity in the region has been relatively limited, but the situation remains highly sensitive. The broader regional escalation involving Iran increases the risk that the Bab-el-Mandeb could experience disruptions very soon. If that were to occur, it would effectively place pressure on a second major global shipping route at the same time. The implications are significant. With Hormuz already under strain, any instability in Bab-el-Mandeb could disrupt trade between Asia and Europe. Shipping routes could be forced to bypass the Suez Canal entirely, rerouting around Africa and adding substantial time and cost to global supply chains. Energy shipments, manufactured goods, and raw materials would all be affected. For the first time in modern history, two of the world's most critical maritime arteries are under simultaneous pressure, exposing the fragility of global trade and intensifying the urgent need for reliable alternatives. Amid the disruption unfolding across key shipping routes, one country has quietly prepared for exactly this scenario. While much of the world remains dependent on maritime transit through Hormuz, the United Arab Emirates took a different approach, one that is now proving highly valuable. The Abu Dhabi crude oil pipeline, often referred to as ADCOP, was opened in 2012, specifically to bypass the Strait of Hormuz entirely. Stretching approximately 370 kilometers, it connects the oil fields of Habshan in Abu Dhabi directly to the port of Fujairah on the Gulf of Oman. Crucially, Fujairah lies outside the strait, providing access to global shipping lanes without requiring passage through contested waters. In the current environment, this infrastructure has become a strategic advantage. While tanker traffic through Hormuz faces uncertainty, oil transported through the pipeline can continue to reach international markets. Fujairah has evolved into one of the world's most important oil storage and export hubs, supported by extensive tank facilities and modern loading systems that allow for efficient large-scale operations. From an engineering perspective, the pipeline represents a major achievement. It is capable of transporting between 1.5 and 1.8 million barrels of oil per day through a high-pressure system supported by multiple pumping stations. Designed for reliability, it ensures a steady flow of crude oil even under challenging conditions. Its growing importance has made it a key energy hub in the region. As one of the few export routes that bypass Hormuz, Fujairah has become central to maintaining supply continuity. Discussions are now underway to expand capacity and further integrate the pipeline into broader energy networks. However, the system is not without its limitations. While significant, its capacity represents only a fraction of total Gulf exports. The Strait of Hormuz carries around 20 million barrels per day, about 20% of global supply, meaning the pipeline can offset only a small portion. Major producers, especially those reliant on LNG, remain exposed, and other countries lack similar infrastructure. Even so, the pipeline proves a critical point. Bypassing Hormuz is already possible. The challenge now is scaling this solution to meet the demands of a far larger global system. While pipelines offer a practical workaround, some proposals aim to reimagine global shipping routes altogether. One such concept involves creating an entirely new maritime passage to bypass the Strait of Hormuz. The idea has been discussed for years among regional planners and international investors, particularly in the United Arab Emirates, where reducing reliance on Hormuz has long been a strategic priority. It centers on constructing a new canal through Oman's Musandam Peninsula, connecting the Persian Gulf near the UAE-Oman border directly to the Arabian Sea along Oman's eastern coastline. This would allow ships to avoid Hormuz entirely, removing one of the most critical constraints in global trade. The proposal is often referred to as the Musandam Canal. The scale of the project is immense, with estimated costs exceeding $100 billion. It would rival the Suez and Panama Canals as one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects ever envisioned. While not yet under construction, it has drawn interest from Gulf nations and global stakeholders seeking a more secure export route. If pursued, the canal would likely be funded primarily by Gulf states, particularly the UAE and Saudi Arabia, alongside sovereign wealth funds and international investors. Given the complexity of the terrain and the scale of engineering required, it would likely take well over a decade to complete. Unlike the relatively flat landscape of the Suez Canal, the Musandam Peninsula is dominated by rugged mountains, requiring extensive excavation, tunneling, and advanced construction techniques. Environmental considerations would also be significant. The timing of renewed interest in the project is no coincidence. The events of 2026 have exposed the risks of relying on a single choke point, bringing large-scale alternatives back into focus. However, the biggest challenges may be political rather than technical, requiring cooperation between Oman and neighboring Gulf states while reshaping regional dynamics. Despite these uncertainties, the Musandam Canal presents a compelling vision of a future where global trade is less dependent on a single vulnerable passage. While the Musandam Canal presents a powerful vision, its feasibility extends well beyond engineering into the realm of geopolitics. From a technical standpoint, it would be one of the most complex projects ever attempted. Constructing a canal through mountainous terrain would demand unprecedented planning, investment, and time, with costs likely to escalate and timelines stretching over decades. Equally significant are the political challenges. Iran, which has long held strategic influence over the Strait of Hormuz, would likely view any bypass as a shift in regional power dynamics. Oman, which controls the Musandam Peninsula, would need to balance the economic potential of the project with its long-standing policy of regional neutrality. For global powers, the incentives are clear. Reducing reliance on a single choke point would strengthen energy security and improve the resilience of global trade. However, advancing such a project would require navigating a highly sensitive geopolitical landscape. In reality, the future will likely involve a combination of solutions. Pipelines offer immediate practical relief, while large-scale projects like the Musandam Canal present long-term possibilities. What is clear is that the events of 2026 have reshaped the conversation, transforming both the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab-el-Mandeb from dependable trade routes into vulnerabilities the world is now actively seeking to overcome.